Welcome to Buckets Live, coming to you from the Tommy John Home Studios. What just happened? What just happened? I'm here with Kyle Murray, K-Mur DFS on Twitter and the Action Network app. As the Indiana Pacers win game one, 138-135. After being down, I'm checking the actual number here. The Knicks led by 14 with 2:45 to play in the fourth quarter. And they lost in overtime to the Indiana Pacers via Josh Dubo of the AP. Teams leading a playoff game by 14 plus in the final 2:45 of the fourth quarter were 994-0 in the play-by-play era, which is since 1997. Make it 994-1. I should have checked the money line. I just in case, because so many crazy things have happened with the Pacers and so many crazy things have happened with the Knicks in this postseason. I should have checked the money line to know what it was. Oh my God, Kyle. What an insane finish. Aaron Nesmith, Tyrese Halliburton taking over. An incredible game. Pacers take game one.
Yeah, it was a wild stretch there. Sitting around kind of waiting to get on here and do the show, and the game was kind of out of reach for a minute. I think at the 5-minute mark, it was a 15-point game, like you mentioned, about 2 minutes left, 14-point game. At one point, the Knicks on ESPN's kind of game cast situation, 99.7 probability to win that game. That is certainly unbelievable. I wish I would have looked at the money line as well to kind of know what it was at its peak. Aaron Nesmith went off 6 threes in the final 5 minutes for Aaron Nesmith. I do not think anybody had that on their bingo card. And then obviously with Halliburton doing the Reggie Miller choke celebration, it was just, so many good things. I'm sure Knicks fans did not like it, but I'm guessing there was a lot of other enjoyers of that fiasco that was game one of Pacers and Knicks.
I mean, yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see where this goes from here, right? Everyone's going to like the Knicks in game two. And this is opened. It opened 5. There's already 6s on the board. This opens 5. It has already moved to 5.5, minus 115 at BetMGM. And it's 6 at DraftKings, minus 108 for the Pacers on +6. So if you're looking, there is a -6, minus 112 at DraftKings. There's a -6, 110 at Caesars. This is probably going to hit 6.5 or 7 just based off of the bounce back factor. If you want to get in on Knicks, you're going to want to get in on them right now. I don't know if I'm going to. I'm probably going to come back and bet the Pacers again because it's not like my model has changed. I'm going to victory lap for a second. Pacers to hit any game in overtime. I gave that on the series pod. That hit tonight. We get another one, and I think it was 25-1 was that one. If we get another overtime game, I was on overtime tonight. I couldn't log in the app because we have problems with the overtime bets in the app. That was awesome, though. I talked about it. I said I'm going to be on overtime in game one. That was great. I can't believe the Josh Hart double-double did not get home. I cannot believe. Hart got, I think he had 6 points in the first half and then 8 in the third by the end of the third. And then just nothing. He wound up, the rebounds cash for us. Can't believe that came up short. That was the only leg of the parlay. Well, no, I'm sorry. We had Knicks minus 4.5 because we were like, well, if Bridges goes over on assist, all these things happen. Surely the Knicks win. No, not so much. But great look by Kyle Murray on Mikal Bridges points and assists and on the assist line. Great job there by Kyle.
Yeah, that one came through. There was a little bit of sweat there. He kind of was stagnant for a bit, but I ended up getting there. The assist kind of being a little bit over expectation was nice. Karl-Anthony Towns did unfortunately have 2 assists when I had the under 1.5 that I gave out on the episode from yesterday, but nonetheless did cash the Karl-Anthony Towns over 33.5 points and rebounds that I put in the app later. And then we also had Ben Mathurin over 2.5 rebounds hit. So 3-in-1 night. I will definitely take that all day long.
Yeah, 319 is definitely excellent. I want to shout out Ryan, who's been putting this in the chat consistently. I have like a little tiny bit of a ticket on this because Ryan's been putting on Panthers to win the East in the NHL and Minnesota versus OKC conference finals, and he bet Panthers and Pacers to win their conference finals. So great job by Ryan on the cross sport parlay there. Pacers team of destiny. Paul asks. I mean, look, man, like they are like it cannot be. How like Aaron Nesmith went absolutely ballistic to end that game. And Tyrese Halliburton, there's obviously like I've thought about the choke sign all week. I've thought about it all week, and I was like, I wonder if he'll get a chance to hit it. And Hallie hits a shot that goes straight up and drops. He's trying to get to a 3, so he thinks he won. So he hits the choke. But it's too soon because the foot's on the line. And then I was like, no, they're gonna lose in overtime, and we're gonna lose this awesome moment. And they win anyway. Like, what were the odds of Tyrese Halliburton successfully executing the choke sign in game 1, Kyle? Must have been 25-1 or better.
Yeah, I saw him doing the post game interview, and he said that the guys were talking about when the time to do it would be, and he's like, it felt like that was fitting, and yeah, it would have been certainly awkward if they that happened and then they would go to overtime and lose it. So I felt like he probably felt a little bit of added pressure in that overtime to go out and get that win after doing the celebration. There just would have been an unfortunate timing, but yeah, I was obviously with everything moving so fast. I thought it was a 3. I'm sure he did as well. Obviously, he was trying to get back to the 3-point line. So sure, that definitely would have been unfortunate if they came through and lost in overtime after the celebration, but things worked out. He did say that he was going to try to do it again later in the series. So I guess we'll keep an eye out on that. I think you might be muted.
He hit him with the double choke.
Yeah.
Me be on mute during this broadcast, which is always a minus 150. That cashes in the first 7 minutes of the show. Absolutely just incredible, insane. What a win by the Pacers. Total, the market for game 2, open 227.5. This is already down to 226 at Bet Rivers, 226.5 at Bet MGM is the best number available right now. This doesn't surprise me. So I was on the under, and we actually had like a brief shining second, and with 2 minutes to go before Aaron Nesmith scored like 15 points, where it actually was like, hey, I might sneak this out. The Pacers obviously shot like 78% or whatever in that first quarter, and then it really did kind of stagnate. I'm going to be back on, I think, on the under in game 2. I think I'm taking Pacers in the under again in game 2. So because I think that's just really where the series is going to kind of head. A lot of interesting cross matches in this one, a lot of interesting kind of dynamics of how they guarded each other. I will say Nembhard did a much better job as the series went on. Jalen Brunson goes in this game for 43 points on 15 of 25 from the field, 12 of 14 from the line, 5 dimes, but 7 turnovers, and was a -8. And Nembhard, it really did feel like was wearing him down at the end of the game. He was gassed, especially on that last second desperation 3-point attempt that he came up way short, airballed on for the clutch player of the year, which should have been Nikola Jokic or Trae Young, by the way. Karl Anthony Towns in this one was a +9, 35 points, 12 rebounds. Mitchell Robinson was so dominant, and yet he was a plus-minus of 0 in this game, even though he absolutely wrecked them on the glass. 4 offensive rebounds for Mitchell Robinson. He played 20 minutes in this game, 21 minutes. So it's going to be interesting to see whether he plays more in this series. Kyle, what are some of the prop angles that you think you're going to be looking towards game 2? You don't have to give me projections or anything. Just what are things you're going to be interested in as we approach game 2 here on Friday?
Yeah, I think a couple big things were, Cat played 39 minutes, including those 5 overtime minutes. So 34 minutes in regulation. That's going to be something that I'm going to be projecting for more. So even though he had a big game, it'll be interesting to see kind of where the lines come in compared to where I project them, just because I know that I'm going to be projecting for more than 34 minutes again in a playoff series. And then a couple other things like Miles McBride playing 25 minutes. Obviously, Jalen Brunson got himself into some foul trouble, played 37 minutes, including 5 overtime minutes, so 32 regulation minutes. That's not going to continue there for McBride playing 25 minutes. So it'll be interesting to see if we get any kind of overpriced numbers there on Miles McBride, who did have a solid game when he was on the floor. But again, just not going to, we're not going to be projecting him for that kind of time. And another angle will be the Miles Turner angle. Only played 31 minutes in this game. Seemed like they were playing Obi Toppin at the 5 in the overtime series. So I think that's an interesting little development as well. Thomas Bryant also played about 13 minutes. That was more than where I had him projected as well, only by a couple minutes, but still, that was interesting. So I think the Miles Turner angle will be kind of unique because I know a couple guys here were on some overs for Turner, and I believe the blocks and steals, those I'm not sure if those got there, and then along with the 3-point numbers for Turner, it just comes down to minutes, right? It's going to be interesting to see if I'll be comfortable projecting him for that 34, 33 minute mark again, but still only playing 31 minutes despite there being an overtime game as well. I think it was interesting. So there might be a little bit of a bounce back number to bet on for Miles Turner. Back to mute.
Oh, that one actually, that was not my fault. It did genuinely look like I was actually on there. Miles McBride, I think I'm going to be on 3-pointers on him next game. He's only 1 of 3 tonight, but he is getting looks. I think he's going to be actually a helpful part of the series. He was a plus 12 in this game. Yeah. Actually thought he was really good and is going to help. Apparently 702 Gambler got plus 9.5, hit the money line at plus 145, and then hit it at 2,800 at plus 2,800. Well done, man. Braver man than me. Paul Rahani says Pacers sweep plus 710. Whoa. Okay. Whoa. Because the Pacers, I think, are too wild not to give up at least one game in this series. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if this got out of hand because this was like a crushing one. Even if the Knicks come back and win game 2, I'm going to love them in game 3. So I'm in basically a point here where because my power rating on the series was so far off, I had this Knicks only minus 0.7. There's no real way for me. It has to be a real reason for me to sit out a game. I'll look at some of the trends for game 2 and see if there's like some sort of, there's obviously the bounce back performance when the higher seed loses, but this is a specific circumstance. It's not a 1 or a 2 seed. It's not a huge favorite. It's less than 2 possessions, et cetera, et cetera. So like, I'm probably going to be back on Pacers again, but I'm absolutely going to be on Pacers in game 3, regardless of game 2 result. Like I will bet them the next 2 times just because my line is so far off from this. Antonio says the Knicks spread plus 1.5 at minus 120 is very tempting. Yeah, I would understand that because so on the series preview, I was very, very Pacers and gave it out, but I also talked about how I was going to be lower units because I think this thing is so close, and I have been. And at the same time, I will say that I love the Pacers in that series preview, but it was always kind of like, the Knicks are kind of a different deal. I like the Knicks a lot more from a matchup perspective by the end of the week. The fact that they were able to dig out of this hole, though, is not meaningless to me. Like that is not meaningless to me, just from the perspective of a lot of things went sideways on them and they found a way to win anyway. Like Pacers got away from game script for about 2.5 quarters from the start of the second through the middle of the fourth. They got completely away from game script. Like I commented on the game. I was like, this is the dumbest I've seen the Pacers play. They were just sloppy. I talked about how they want to play with tempo and not pace. And they were trying to rush shots to try and get ahead of the defense. And I was like, you can't really do that. Like you're going to get blocked a lot, et cetera, et cetera. Antonio says, why do I think the Knicks are still the better team? I'm not sure because I feel like the Pacers proved a lot here in terms of being able to withstand a 43 bomb from Brunson and 35, limit everybody else and get the kind of offensive contributions that they got. 31 and 11 from Hallie, 17 from Siakam, 30 from Nesmith is obviously an outlier, but look, Nesmith's really good. I thought he was going to have a great series. I was on Nesmith under on rebounds as well. That hit in this game. I'm going to be back on that in game 2, Kyle, because if Nesmith is going to be the primary defender on Brunson, he's either going to be in foul trouble or he's going to be guarding him out on the perimeter and can't rebound. So I'm going to be on Nesmith under on rebounds, I think, in until they go to a different type of matchup, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I will say it did seem like they were mixing and matching with some guys on kind of obviously he scored 43 points in limited minutes. So they definitely had the kind of the reasoning to be trying out different guys. He tried Mather on him for a little bit. Ben Shepherd had some second half minutes where he was trying to defend him. They even had Hallie on him for a little bit. So yeah, I definitely think Nesmith is going to be the primary guy though. So I like that call quite a bit. And the points number is also going to be something where I'm interested to see where Nesmith comes in because, like you mentioned, we're definitely not going to be getting 8 threes from Aaron Nesmith again. Yes, very good player, definitely useful, but not known for his scoring. So that's a spot where I'd like to see exactly where that opening number comes in because that's typically a spot where the books and the market might overreact at first to a big game. Again, like the books are not dumb. They have their their ways, right? That's why they have the big buildings in Vegas, as someone said in the show a couple days ago. But looks like the Aaron Nesmith line opens at 12.5, so that's lower than I would have hoped for a potential under bet. But initial projections, I have him for 13. So yeah, no real edge there, but that's kind of something I was hoping for, but no dice.
Maybe wait and see if it gets bet up because of the
Yeah.
public action on Nesmith being as such a huge factor in this game.
Yep, definitely. Yep.
The Pacers have moved to minus 165 at DraftKings. Knicks are plus 135 to win the series outright. I'm going to be unable to go anywhere here because I make this now Pacers minus 275 and Knicks plus 275. Most likely outcome for me at this point is Pacers in 6 at, I've got it marked at plus 340 and it's 350 at DraftKings. So my best bet right now would be Pacers 4-2 at plus 350 at DraftKings or better if you can find it in the market. Yeah, Antonio says Barkley just said on the post-game show that the Knicks looked tired. Brunson looked exhausted. The Knicks really tried to match the Pacers in this. I told my wife it was kind of a pissing contest where they were going back and forth trying to like match each other's kind of chaotic, extremely hyper energy of like, no, you're not going to outrun us. We're better conditioned. No, we're going to outrun you. And I was like, I don't know if you really want to do this with the Pacers guys. Like, I'm not sure that you with your short rotation want to do this. And it worked for a long time. It got them that 14-point lead, but I think it's pretty fair to question if they ran out of gas with Bridges at 46 minutes and 18 seconds. Brunson only played 37, but Hart played 44 and still only had 8 points. You're killing me, Hart. And OG goes 42 minutes. OG 6 of 15 from the field. He had a lot of opportunities. So I might be looking at, what do you have OG projected at for game 2 on points? Because I think that might be one to look at here. He had 3 steals, 3 blocks as well. I thought OG did a lot of good stuff in this game, but he wasn't efficient from the field, but he got more opportunities. I was curious about who else was going to score, but Bridges got 16 shots and Anunoby got 15 shots. They both kind of had opportunities because of the pace. Even if that slows down, I wonder if there's value. What have you got OG at on his points projection?
Yeah, initial run with no manual edits or anything to usage, so just going off baseline. So that's probably going to change a little bit. But 39 minutes, 17.5 points for OG.
Okay. All right. I'm checking some of the other markets here as we continue here on Buckets Live. Yep, this is still moving towards, this is going to be 6.5 or 7. FanDuel taking money right now and moving it towards Knicks in game 2. Not surprised about that. So I'll be very patient on when I bet this. I want to see if there's a buyback number where the sharps come back in and want to buy back. And once I hit that limit point where it goes from 6.5, if it touches 7 and then gets back to 6.5, I'll buy the 6.5. I'm willing to spare the extra half point because I do have 6.5 points of edge on this. And again, like, I get it. It took a wild comeback, but we said the same thing about the Knicks and the Celtics series. And it's like, look, you have to do the thing in order to come back. You can do a fake comeback, and these were not fake comebacks. These were actual comebacks that they were able to get in this one. Your line was 17 for OG.
Yeah. Yep. 17.5. Yep.
Okay. And FanDuel's got him at 15.5 right now. So, and it's minus 102. So I'm probably going to be I'm going to go ahead and bet that right now. OG Anunoby over 15.5 points in game 2, minus 102. I think Bridges might actually take they'll probably put a little bit more attention on Bridges. I think OG will still get some opportunities. Antonio asked about thoughts on Turner over under 14.5 at even money. He landed at 14 tonight. I think Kyle kind of mentioned that, but Kyle, can I give your thoughts again on that?
Yeah, I definitely want to look into exactly how the rotations went because, again, like only playing 31 minutes in an overtime game, it looked like obviously they were more comfortable playing Obi Toppin in the overtime. I think Turner played 2 minutes in the overtime, 2.5 minutes overtime. So he played like 28 minutes in regulation, which is not going to bode well for Turner. And they went away from him in the middle to the end of the overtime unit, went to Obi Toppin there. And again, Thomas Bryant also played 13 minutes in this game. I had him projected for 11 coming into the game, 10.5. So again, that's another guy that played more minutes than projected, which makes sense with Turner seeing less. So again, for like first impression, I would assume that Turner's had a good, overly efficient scoring performance based on 28 minutes. But if I'm going to land on, I would guess right now I would land on like a 30-minute projection, and that would probably have me right around probably 13.5 or 14. I can change his minutes right now, and I will see where that comes in. But yeah, definitely some volatility there. Yeah, so I have him at 14.1 point projection in 30 minutes for Miles Turner. So again, that number could come up a little bit if I end up having some more confidence that they're going to go back to him for more minutes. But after that game, not overly willing to make that bet.
The Pacers had 27 points off of turnovers to just 4 for the Knicks. Woo. That's a very OKC Minnesota game one line. So I got to be careful as far as that goes. I'm looking at some of the key kind of metrics that we were looking at in the series. Pacers in this one, 15 of 37 from 3-point range, Knicks 11 from 34. So they won the 3-point battle. They won the points off of turnovers. And then second chance points, the Pacers had more second chance points than the New York Knicks tonight. Wow. That's a big upset there for how much we cap this as a massive opportunity. And, the Knicks did generate 13 offensive rebounds. They had more offensive rebounds, but fewer second chance points, which is always kind of the other side of that. You got to be able to do both as far as that goes. All right. So, Kyle, just kind of wrap up. What's your biggest thing you're going to be looking at over here in the next 48 hours for this game?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be kind of how I'm breaking down some of the minutes from guys who played less and more compared to where I had them projected coming into game one. I will say one thing that I found interesting from a kind of overall team handicapping perspective is that, I think the takeaway is going to be that the Pacers got lucky and they had a lot of, positive variance working for them at the end of the game with all those threes hit. And yeah, they did shoot 8% better from three, but that's not necessarily unexpected from that team. But both teams are still 51% from the field. And I do think that at the end of the game, the Knicks tried to throw the ball away like 2 or 3 times. And the one where Brunson tried to throw it off Neesmith and it bounced right into OG's hands. So there were definitely a couple of things that worked in both teams' favors. So I do think that the market's probably going to overrate the Knicks a little bit coming into game two, just because of how it looks with that a lot of those positive variance plays happening in the last 2 minutes of the game. So I think that's something that I'm going to be looking at, not only from a player props perspective, but just from a overall game standpoint.
I love this comment from David Martell. Thunder title features parlay with whoever is playing the Rockies with even money. There you go. That's excellent. All right, that's got to do it for Buckets. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us. We will have Buckets live tomorrow talking Eastern Conference Finals Game 2 best bets tomorrow at 2:30. So you have the official best bets there live at youtube.com/the Action Network. Hit the like and subscribe. Do me the solid. Hit me the like and subscribe button. Hope you guys had a good betting night. We'll see you tomorrow. You can join in. You can give your picks, and we'll talk about them on tomorrow's show at 2:30. Then pregame for Wolves-Thunder Game 2 at 5:30 Eastern on youtube.com/the Action Network. Appreciate you guys joining us. I still do not know how the Pacers won this game. When I figure it out, I'll let you know. Till then, let's get buckets.